James Boyle, The Public Domain, Enclosing the Commons of the Mind. Embark on a journey exploring the complexities of intellectual property law and its impact on creativity and innovation through the lens of James Boyle's book, The Public Domain, Enclosing the Commons of the Mind. The book critically examines the expansion of patents, copyrights, and trademarks and the potential consequences on society's ability to foster innovation and cultural growth. The summary encapsulates the major themes and ideas of the book, including the differences between tangible and intellectual property, the balance between rights and limitations, and the emergence of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, an act that challenges the traditional fair use standard.
The dangerous impact of intellectual property law. Intellectual property law has expanded far beyond its intended purpose, leading to a destructive protectionist mindset that restricts creativity, stunts technological development, and erodes the public domain. Both patents and copyrights now cover items that seem trivial, and the U.S. Digital Millennium Copyright Act eliminates fair use. However, what people think about intellectual property is crucial because it dictates how technological and creative innovation progresses. The protective mindset of today would prevent not only the internet but also entire musical genres like jazz. The legal trend of protecting intellectual property rights at all costs is destroying the very idea of the public domain, which is meant to be a collective and accessible space for knowledge and creativity. Instead, companies and content providers create exclusive bars and ownership over basic concepts and ideas. This approach is a recipe for catastrophic stagnation. Intellectual property and innovation. Real property, such as a house or a suit, is something that cannot be shared, while intellectual property has non-rivalrous nature that does not diminish its value. However, both types of property deserve legal protection to encourage creativity. Without such safeguards, science, culture, and technological advancement may suffer. The trend has been to make intellectual property law robust and all-inclusive, but its unintended consequences have had disastrous effects on innovation and transparency. Patents and copyrights have become forms of perpetual corporate welfare that limit availability of information and hinder progress. Therefore, it is time to reconsider the current state of intellectual property law and find a balance between encouraging creativity and promoting innovation. The Jefferson Warning. In 1813, Thomas Jefferson expressed his apprehension over an exclusive right to ownership of ideas, which could impede innovative activities. He questioned the legitimacy of patents, given the long-standing use of inventions such as the Persian wheel to move water. Although recognizing the need for intellectual property laws, he did not support granting inventors a natural and exclusive right to their creations. To Jefferson, IP should be a limited legal right that the state should carefully control and restrict. He distinguished IP from tangible property, specifying that it does not carry entitlement or permanence, poses monopolistic dangers, and should always be delineated meticulously. Jefferson believed that ideas should spread freely for the moral and mutual instruction of humanity. Copyright, which was intended to promote access to information and creativity, has become an obstacle to both. Jefferson's views on the subject still carry weight today. The rise of intellectual property law. The book explores how lawmakers and regulators are closing off every new idea, creation, and development behind intellectual property law. It draws parallels with an earlier enclosure movement when kings, nobles, and landowners appropriated common land into their vast, private estates. Though they rationalized it to increase the efficiency of land use, some scholars concur that only the rich landowners became wealthier. Similarly, today, society is being attacked by a second enclosure movement that would fence off the intangible commons of the mind. The protection of intellectual property used to be for exceptional cases, but now it is the norm. As an example, private companies have even tried to patent gene sequences of the human genome that many believe belong to all of humanity. Patents are being stretched to cover ideas that were formerly unpatentable. The DMCA and the imbalance of copyright law. The DMCA was ratified in 1998 in response to negative publicity from content providers regarding the ease of copying creative materials from the Internet. The law makes attempting to bypass electronic safeguards illegal, but it also overturns the fair use standard recognized by copyright law. Copyright law used to balance protecting rights with imposing limits, but the DMCA places all the weight on the side of rights, endangering freedom of speech and expression. However, content providers fail to acknowledge the vast economic benefits provided by the Internet, new markets and distribution opportunities. In a network society, copying is necessary for transmission, storage, and even reading. The current freedom, openness, and accessibility characterize the Internet, not surveillance, restrictions, and penalties. Copyright law and creativity. Copyright law is meant to encourage creativity by giving artists material benefits. However, it can be challenging to find the right balance between copyright limits and artist rights. This is especially difficult in music, where each artist adds to the works of those before them. While intellectual property laws began as a collaboration between content, publishing, and distribution industries, it has evolved into a restrictive system. The current era is marked by super-robust legal protection which poses challenges to artists, musicians, and other creatives who want to build on earlier works and musical traditions. As a result, musical forms such as jazz, soul, rock, and rap may never have developed if the current laws had been in place. This idea is illustrated by the example of Ray Charles's "I Got a Woman," which used the melody of the gospel song "Jesus Is All the World to Me" because Thompson's copyright had expired. The extension of copyright protection has made it difficult for artists to build on earlier works, making it critical to find the right balance between copyright limits and the advancement of creativity. Intellectual property protection, a matter of perspective. The claim that robust intellectual property protection encourages innovation is not always true. Despite the lack of protection for databases in the US, the industry flourishes while Europe's industry only got a short-term boost from their database directive. This proves that the limitations on intellectual property are as important as the rights they provide. The cost of protection may hinder competition and innovation. Protecting intellectual property for a better tomorrow. Intellectual property, IP, is a crucial subject that has immense implications for culture and technical progress. Although lawmakers have always decided to expand such rights, advocates worry that current IP policy is harmful to cultural and technological progress. Without public engagement, this trend is likely to continue. However, since IP seems nerdy, technocratic, and abstruse, the subject does not inspire much enthusiasm in people, making it challenging to engage them in a debate on the new politics of intellectual property. Nevertheless, IP is a subject that everyone should carefully consider as it affects everyone. Advocates call for protecting the public domain, an invaluable human resource that businesses and their advocates are trying to wall off, brick by brick. Democratic decisions should not only be made by and for the benefit of a few stakeholders, whether industrialists or content providers. Therefore, activists must engage the public in a debate on the new politics of intellectual property to protect the public domain and create a better future. Similar to how environmentalists convince the public that a healthier environment is everyone's concern, everyone has far too much to lose if they let the public domain erode.
As we conclude our exploration of the public domain, it is evident that the ever-expanding boundaries of intellectual property rights are stifling creativity and innovation. From the impact on musical genres like jazz and rock to the hindrances on scientific advancements in genetics, the book argues that perpetual intellectual corporate welfare obstructs progress. The summary highlights Thomas Jefferson's insights on intellectual property as a limited legal right, along with the importance of safeguarding the public domain as a collectively owned resource. Through historical examples and compelling arguments, James Boyle makes a persuasive case for a balanced and just approach to intellectual property laws that ensure both creator compensation and societal advancement.